Art is love. Love is energy. Scientifically, spiritually, physically, art is love. Love is energy. Let me explain. Art is a vibration. Anytime you put a line or a color down on anything, it's a vibration. It's something that we pick up. The cavemen picked up on it millions of years ago. That's why they had the cave drawings and things, because they were relevant. The Egyptians picked up on it thousands of years ago. That's why they built the pyramids. That's why we still have hieroglyphs. We don't know what the Egyptian music was like. We don't know what the caveman's music was like because it doesn't exist now. But the art still lives. Art is energy, and it can't be destroyed. It can only be directed. And if we direct it and we realize the power that art has, we'll be able to make things happen. It is what love is. It's the vibration. It's the exchange. It's the exchange of that feeling. It's love, and I want to spread love. It's love. We need more love, like John Lennon.
Wait, I don't have a pen. I need a pen. I'm sorry. I need a pen.
Guys, something I'm working on right now, and I may need a little bit of help with some of the wording, is the letter of acceptance. A letter for them, kind of telling them what's next, what to expect. So I want y'all to help me go over that and make sure I don't miss any important details. Or maybe go ahead and giving their artist seal and letting them use that to announce their acceptance.
So they'll find out before Christmas.
So they'll find out before Christmas. I'm not gonna go into detail of the exact number because I don't want them to get fixated on that, but I am gonna say that it was extremely competitive with the highest number of submissions we've ever had. And once January hits, that's when it really, really gets crazy. We'll start meeting with venues. Artists will start getting invitations of where they're gonna display their artwork and what business. And then it's, you know, just a crazy, crazy next few months until April's here.
At the turn of the century, it is recorded that a fellow from Danville, Virginia, started with tobacco. Tobacco caught on. By 1900, the population of Lake City was 300. By 1910, it was 1,000. So actually we tripled the population of Lake City because of two things: produce in the spring, tobacco in the summer and the fall. By 1917, unemployment was 0. If you wanted to work, you come to Lake City. By 1930s, we were strong. We were known as the string bean capital of the world. In the 1950s, we had increased the population and increased the number of warehouses to 5. And by 1960s, we had 9 warehouses. So actually tobacco and the produce were the key elements for the growth of Lake City.
I worked behind the soda fountain for several years. It was booming, especially during the summertime when all the tobacco and warehousemen were in town, and especially on Saturday. It was very difficult to go from one end of the street to the other because there were that many crowds on the street.
All the storefronts during that time were filled. You had shoe stores, clothing stores, farm supplies. You could just about name it. Everything was on Main Street and Saul Street and the other surrounding areas.
It was a very distinct smell. If I smelled it today, I would remember every sound and image and face that was in that tobacco warehouse, with all the people and the buyers and everybody there. And usually the farmers were dressed up on the day of sales. That was the making of their money for the year. And these sales would last hours during the mornings and the afternoons.
My grandfather was sales supervisor for the Lake City tobacco market. And I would go around with my granddad to check on all the warehouses and the auctions. And then we would go back to his office and do the math, because Senator Hollins and Senator Thurmond were going to call at 4:30 that afternoon, but they wanted to know what the average tobacco price was. They recognized that tobacco was important to the economy in South Carolina, and that was part of Lake City's challenge. We were so tied to tobacco being the biggest cash crop of the farmer. And then we had the second biggest auction system in the state, millions and millions of dollars. So with the decline of tobacco beginning in the 80s and the fact that the government stopped their stabilization price program, and then you throw in the fact that the 3 or 4 textile manufacturing companies that we had left Lake City and went abroad, it was a negative, perfect economic storm.
Well, our downtown was fairly bombed out. I would say we had 40% occupancy, and that, I think, is being very ambitious to say that. And our community probably was not as engaged. We had lost a lot of people that had moved away. We had some things going on in our city government that had everyone distrusted. It was not a good time. I mean, you understood why people spoke of Lake City more glowingly in the past than at present.
There was another one that I loved. It's actually in that other book, but I think I don't have anywhere to put it. It's that Patrick Paris. I've had him in my store before. I love that. It's that black and white.
Black and white. A very interesting mix this year, because what we've had,
Right, the colors in that one. I saw
such a increase in submissions. So we're having artists that we've never even had before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to see completely new artwork.
Yeah.
There's this, no, I think it's upside down.
Usually when we do our volunteer kickoff, all of the merchandise we have to give as like door prizes is all stuff from the previous year. But this year we have some new things that I think they'll be excited to get.
It's always kind of a surprise for us. Every single year, a new business comes in, or we lose a building that we thought we had because it's going to be something else. So the construction side of things always plays a factor. We also have a good bit of venues that are very vocal about the traffic that ArtFields causes. Even though it's good traffic for them, it's also a headache at the same time. It's, oh, I can't park on Main Street. I can't park by my door. My clients can't get in like they normally would. And we try to explain, this is a good thing. This is a good thing that there's more people in town, that more people are coming into your store and causing more traffic, but a lot of them don't see it that way, and it's really sad to see.
I think part of the reason we saw a decline in our historic downtowns historically were, number one, just the automobile, and the fact that the interstate system took people on routes that were not through our historic downtowns. Another reason was just shopping and housing. You know, those things followed the roadway paths, and so a lot of people chose to shop in strip centers and malls, and they preferred to live in new houses on the suburbs. And I think the third one, and probably the one that affected Lake City perhaps the most, is you had this big shift in kind of local industry. You know, especially in the South, it was either probably built on textiles or agriculture. And all you have to do is look around South Carolina and you see all of these empty textile mills. And I think in the case of Lake City, probably it was more the agricultural industry, which saw these dramatic changes. And so that had really affected Lake City perhaps more than even the other two.
In 2011, I had a design job in Charleston. A girl by the name of Belinda Roberts struck up this conversation with me, and she was fauxing this bathroom, and she's like, were you from Charleston? And I said, no. And where are you from? Lake City, South Carolina. Oh, where's that? She said, well, by the way, I am a member of a women's club. We're the Red Hat Society. This year, we're visiting small towns around South Carolina. We're trying to get to know our state better. Would Lake City be somewhere we would want to visit? And in that split second, I knew if I said yes, I was going to have to back that up. I said, I tell you what, if you come to Lake City, we will put together a trip that your club will never forget. I get in my car, I call Darla, and I go, you're not going to believe what I just did.
The day was just absolutely tremendous. We treated them to a tour of Boer Farms Botanical Garden. They had shopping in Lake City. They had a history talk at the Bean Market. They had a visit at the Ronald E. McNair Life History Center. And they were just all enamored with Lake City by the time they left.
We were a town at that time that so many people had lost so much pride. So to know that these women from Charleston are asking us questions about our town was important. And during this time, Darla had been saying, we've got to find something for Lake City that puts us on the map. There was a guy that worked with rainwater, and he had actually heard about an art event in, well, it was Art Prize. They brought art to their town because it was after 2008 and the car industry it was Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it's like, well, why can't we do that?
There was a lot of economic spillage, and she wanted to use this art competition to stimulate the economy in Lake City. And so that really was our charge.
When you think of art, you don't think of Lake City, South Carolina. If you said that we were going out to farms and look at tobacco and cotton and soybeans and corn and okra and tomatoes, well, yes, that would be Lake City.
In my mind, I was thinking, okay, I think out the box, this is out of the box. So when I came on board, it did not have a name. It just had a vision of making a difference in Lake City, impacting the local people, bringing the people together, and just making an impact on this small town.
It was kind of crazy the way it all happened. There were 4 of us in one small office above the bakery, and then Karen used Darla's office in and out.
We'd have little mini meetings at Darla's thinking about what to name it. And somebody would throw out a name and we would Google, and it was taken. And then somebody would throw out this and somebody. And Sharon was ArtFields. She came up with ArtFields.
I used to smoke cigarettes many years ago, and I was standing on my grandmother on the farm up in Greenwood, and I was standing there, and there was these cars passing by. These families, they were waving at me. They were going to the Augusta Nationals, and my grandparents' farm was in the middle of the woods. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to be greeted with artwork in between Greenville and Augusta? Or in between Charleston and Columbia, in between Florence and Columbia, or Greenville and Orangeburg. In the middle of a cotton field, you have this huge sculpture on this farmer's land, or you have canvas murals, biodegradable murals that can be seen through the forest. And I just felt that art was the best way to convey my love for a place. And just like I love a certain place, other people love their homes too. But people just don't know that things are there. They're relevant spaces in South Carolina that basically get ignored, especially since industry has pulled out of a lot of places and people are not moving to somewhere, they're going through it. And I just felt that I wanted people to stop. Don't just drive through to get to the Augusta Nationals. Stop, this is a neat place.
This building right here, with the art, it had arched windows in it. We're going to put those back in. The unique thing is, after we started demo, we found a a tile floor, a black and white tile floor. I'm not sure what, it had to do something with the hotel, but about 80% of it's still intact. We're gonna preserve that. We find a surprise at every project we do. We found headstones under buildings. It's always kind of like Christmas. You never know what you're gonna find.
There was never a decision made, okay, we're going to reinvent the town. It was iterative, and it happened gradually. And the bean market launched it. We fixed the bean market, and everything else looked really bad. So then we had to fix the parking lot next to the bean market, and then we had to fix the jail that was falling down. But after fixing things for about 5 years or so, then the light came on to say, you know, maybe we ought to think more strategically about reinventing the complete town.
The hardest thing that first year that we had to tackle was community buy-in. Lake City has been told before, oh, this grand thing is coming. If we're gonna build this art event, we're gonna build it based on exactly who we are. We are agricultural. We are a farming community.
When we were having the community meetings, it was hilarious seeing some of the faces. I mean, they were looking at us like, so you're bringing art, huh? So art is gonna change our town, huh? And we're like, yes, yes. And we would have on this big smile in front of everyone. And when the room would be empty, we go, we are doing this, right? Art is gonna make a difference, right? A lot of people just was like, what is art gonna do? What is that gonna do for our town? And a lot of people saw art as not for them, for someone else.
It was fun, but yet it was also daunting to go in and explain something that was going to take place a year later, and we needed their full support.
To make this event work, we had to get artists from 12 southeastern states to believe in our vision and believe in this small town of Lake City and apply. So when December came around and we started getting the submissions rolling in, 100, 150, 200, 300, and we were blown away. It was like, oh my goodness, they're actually applying to be a part of ArtFields. So our task one was met. Once we got the artists, that part we could say, phew. And then it was now making this event happen.
Now, we work 24/7. I mean, Marion did not see me for a year. We actually had an event planning team that also helped us in the very beginning. It was a group out of Charleston. 12/12/12, they emailed us to pull out. It also may have been exactly what we needed. I was sent a letter right after that by a girl who was heavily involved with Charleston Wine and Food, and she wrote, "You will fail. This will not work."
It was discouraging for a moment. And I would say a moment because once that happened, the five of us looked at each other and we said, no, this is gonna happen. The night before it happened, we were still hanging. It was like getting ready for a party, like inviting everybody over and the party's starting to happen and you're trying to put stuff under the chairs and in closets to hide it, okay? So we're trying to clean up Lake City, okay? I don't know, it was late. I would say maybe after midnight, we're all sitting together as a team. We're exhausted, we're nervous, we're scared. And one of our team members looked and she said, "Do you think anybody's coming?"
The lead in to ArtFields, we were feeling pretty good about it because of everything we were hearing, but as far as if you're living in Lake City, you still haven't really seen it. And the day of ArtFields, it's like the floodgates opened.
I think this is going to be the annual cultural event of the year for the Southeast. That's the objective here.
I'm still looking at Lake City as Lake City. But the guests that came in and the way they talked about Lake City, it made me even more so appreciate my roots, my home. I started looking at Lake City through a new lens because they could see the hospitality, how nice people were, how comfortable or cozy the town was. They appreciated the things that, to a large degree, I may have taken for granted.
They're doing a documentary about the construction. He said all of them's, he said everybody's give all the pros, but nobody wants to talk about the cons.
Well, he's talking to the right one now.
Yep. They doing this stuff without thinking it through. They're just thinking that's like that. They wasn't seeing how that was gonna affect all of us on Saul Street. They wasn't worried about us. They was just worried about getting open for ArtFields. This is fresh, natural art. You don't have to paint it, you don't have to build it. No glue. I talked to all the council members. I talked to the mayor, the police chief. I can't remember his name, but he works back over here. I don't know what he does for Darla, who he is, or nothing else. He told me my elderly people were just gonna have to learn how to deal with change. That person has no business whatsoever making choices for a town. Some of the newer people that they're bringing in from out yonder somewhere, they're just here to do whatever they're being told to do. They don't care. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that don't work. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Look at these.
Here.
I think God felt sorry for me and gave me a good partner there. Yeah, I'm in my 70s, so I don't do much with rap or tattoos. You know, that was not around when I was young. But I actually love this painting. I would buy it if I had the money.
The idea of art in a small rural town was either a wood duck or a lab. It had to look like a duck, it had to look like a lab. So there was a view of what art was. You know, flowers and pretty landscapes. And so there was a great deal of dissonance in the early days when the art started coming in, and it's very contemporary and very much of its time. We had one guy, it was very funny, after several years of this, he decided he wanted to add to our prizes in our competition to give an annual prize for art I understand. And we did that for several years because that was the reaction of the town. I don't understand any of this. But I think the reason it was accepted or not reacted to negatively was because of how much vibrance was brought into the town and how much activity came into the town as a result of this art. And the presentation that this is contemporary art of people from the South. These are Southern people. You have to be in order to be in the competition. And these are the topics of our day. And I think a level of tolerance was expected. We prepared people, and I think in time they just got more sophisticated and understanding of it. There are people who don't like some of the images, and some of them are very, very difficult. It's been almost, okay, I don't like it, but it's part of the competition, and I'll ignore that and go look at a piece I do like. It's added such a dimension to people. The concept of tolerance of something that you don't like, which is sorely missing in our culture today. The town has grown. Are there people who don't like it? Of course. But they choose not to go. They don't choose to vocalize it.
Heck no, I ain't ready. We're gonna make it look like we're ready, but we ain't ready. Every year I stress out about entertainment, okay? So I am worried that somebody wants show for entertainment. The band does something funky that I'm not expecting. The laser show, everybody's excited for the laser show. Everybody shows up and it goes.
Where's your
keys already?
Thank you. Is that one the small or the medium?
I got it right here.
This is small. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, but I need the keys. You haven't given me any of those keys.
All right, I'm going to get ready.
Okay.
Hey, is the awesome. Thanks, Chuck.
Yes. You have the card in there.
Where's the ribbon? Some big scissors.
I know, Mary Kelly's supposed to be on that one. I told him, what? I didn't know.
It's not supposed to. You say the R word.
No.
Amen.
This is not our first rodeo. This is not our first rodeo.
Carla, we still have 10 minutes.
I know.
Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Sit down.
Anywhere I can. It's beautiful. It's just good with the sun shining like this. So I told my wife we got to go to Snacks, have us a hot dog and some ice cream.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for.
I didn't know much about Lake City, but when I found out what they were doing there and I first got there and I saw what art was going in these stores, how the town was like really receptive to me. I saw how like they were celebrating the thing that I could do. They were celebrating art. They weren't running from it. They weren't celebrating a championship football team. They were celebrating art. Got a sense of this movement. I got a sense that something was happening, that there was a birth of something happening special in South Carolina. Like there's so many like barriers to get over. Yeah, we got gender issues, religion, all kinds of things. But this is the one thing that pulls you together. You don't have to be a certain race or religion to appreciate good art.
It's opened a clean slate for unity and community and something new to grow that's like hand in hand.
It's like
and
a
not
Southern Renaissance.
Right, exactly. We are in a Southern Renaissance.
Yeah,
exactly.
like a Southern Renaissance.
Here's what happens. If you look at books like the Bible, that always have lineage at the end, like such and such begat such and such. Those are people who gave birth to people. Art and this love, it gives birth to art and love. Instead of trying to control where it goes, you just let it do what it's naturally gonna do. If you look at it right now, I saw kids, black kids, white kids, tall kids, small kids, it's all around here, right? Mm-hmm. ArtFields is giving them a new perspective on what art is. They'll give birth somehow to some more art and more love. Mm-hmm. And it'll just spread. So I think the biggest thing is to be real faithful, a real faithful steward over what ArtFields is right now. Exhaust the funds, exhaust everything with ArtFields. Because once you exhaust it, then it's gonna go out and it's gonna produce the same seed. It's gonna do the same thing.
This will end up being a 100-year-old event.
Yeah. And even if it's never called ArtFields again, this place is gonna be so rooted in art.
Yep, it'll never be the
same.
same.
For years. Already, it's not the same
It's
already.
not the same.
The culture of Lake City is actually changing. ArtFields used to be a once-a-year thing. Now it's a all year long. So it can't go back to what it was. You know?
And it brought other art with it. You hear the
right,
music?
Right. ArtFields in the middle of the year has something on the green, and they have a cook-off. All the country boys from church and everybody, they out there on the green cooking. It's changing things, man.
I think the reasons why we have to just work so hard at saving and preserving and caring for our historic downtowns is they're the only authentic places in our community. You know, I love and I value everything that's out on Highway 52, but I can see everything that's out there in dozens, if not hundreds of communities in South Carolina, and of course thousands of times across America. If we were to compare our downtowns to the human body, I think our downtowns are the heart and the soul of our communities. And it doesn't matter how healthy my limbs are. If my heart's bad, it's a moot point. There's a reason, there's an absolutely obvious, simple reason why when we're looking for industrial recruits, they always want to include downtown on the tour. And it's because it's the fastest, quickest way to detect the care and the concern that community as a whole, especially the leadership, have. It's the fastest place. If you care about the downtown, if you care about the heart and soul, then you probably care about the rest of the community as well. And conversely, if your downtown is languishing, it's probably an indication that we aren't caring for the rest of the community as well.
So there's no criteria beyond what the award specifies as far as
Correct.
You have to be, you know, we give one for each participating state, but we don't have any other criteria that we have to consider.
No, it's just for you guys to figure out together.
Oh, wonderful.
I told you it was arm wrestling.
It's very liberating, your process.
I mean, the venues that you'll actually see artwork in, some are galleries, some are old warehouses, but most of them are businesses that our local business owners are allowing us to come in and invade their space, and most of the venue owners have selected their artwork for their shop. They really take ownership of that. They'll talk to their artists, they'll talk to visitors because they're excited about what they have. And so that community aspect, that support from them is huge for us. We couldn't do it without their help.
The South is not respected nationally. We don't get the
It's
National
not.
Endowment of the Arts grants, humanities grants, IMLS grants. I'm part of a group of museum directors. We've been fighting that, trying to get visibility and attention. They go to the big cities and they don't think what happens in the South is as valuable.
That's
And there's
exactly right.
great art here, artists from everywhere, and we don't get the respect. This region doesn't, and this is going to help build more respect.
We have a big ArtFields Junior program as well. So while you are walking, you may see some blue stickers as well, and this is just for South Carolina students. They went through the same process, so I think there's about 200, 250 pieces of ArtFields Junior artwork as well. So giving them a voice too, and making sure they know how important the arts are.
Contemporary art particularly challenges preconceptions often. So you might come to contemporary art with a preconception of, you know, what art is, and you come to a show like this and you see that art is, you know, interpreted very widely, the definition of art itself. And then on top of that, contemporary artists are often dealing with you know, conceptual ideas, and you know, could be political content, social content. These might be things that you might not be comfortable with, but they will make you think.
If you're a viewer and you have an active dialogue with another viewer, you're hearing three different points of views in a way, and you can get a richer sense of what life is, what the meaning of life is, whatever the big questions you have. It gives you an opportunity to do that in a very safe way.
It's a multi-layered conversation. It isn't just the kind of feel-good part that encourages people to engage, but we're also talking economics, and in this particularly national, politically charged climate, politics are still local. And the more engaged the local community is in culture, the greater the chances of national funding surviving. So it's a layered conversation that invites a lot of different perspectives and hopefully changes things for the better.
It happens. It's one of those tough ones, guys. Here's the rain. The money pieces on, Charles? Huh? You got your money pieces on?
Yes, I'm right where they're that boy. KeithBothese.com. All right. Yeah, I get paid. Your show a lot easier. I know. I got time for it.
Are you fucking serious right now?
That's $100,000. That's $100,000. You know, it one end of it tilted when the wind started picking up, and then 12 of us were out there pulling on the straps to keep it from going. And we were filling up those putting more water in the water tanks, but one end of the truss was sitting on the hose and pinching it, so we couldn't get water. We get it straightened up, they strap it down, we leave. All of a sudden, it's like a 50 or 60 mile an hour gust of wind comes through, and it just, you had to hide behind this wall because the wind was coming in here so hard. I've never seen anything like that before.
Get my picture.
Thank you. Hold on.
All right, artists, how's everyone doing? Good. All right, thank you so much, but there is going to be a delay. I'm Carla Angus with the ArtFields team. Wow. What a freaking way in the week. It has been absolutely phenomenal, but I tell you, this one kind of kicked out behind. I want to curse, but I'm going to be nice. Unfortunately, the winds and rain damaged all of the sound equipment, laser show, everything. So we couldn't even move the band in tonight if we wanted. Okay, that's my cry there. But you know, you got to keep on pushing forward, right? So the seats have been placed tonight. We're probably going to have to add more seats. And so that's why we're trying to buy you some time in here, okay? So thank you so much. I do hope you understand, and thank you all for coming to Lake City. But I'm doing Spotify. I don't think it's gonna work. Everything was damaged. Everything's ruined. But thank you. Thank you for being on standby. I know. How much you charge the DJ? How much you charge the DJ? But how long it take you to set up though? What's no time? All right, I got the champagne toast at 7, so give me about 10 minutes. If I don't call you back, you call me back, okay? All right, 7 o'clock is gonna be the champagne toast in here. 8 o'clock, awards and after party in here. Spotify music, old school jam, house music, house party, okay?
Okay. So we're good with this? Do you want me to just leave this phone here? My apartment might be flooded. Jesus.
You know, oftentimes we wonder, what is it? What's that moment where we shift from downtown decline towards downtown revitalization? And in a lot of communities, it takes a crisis. You know, a beloved historic building gets torn down, or a tornado or a storm comes through and rips it up, and then all of a sudden, people rally. I'm not convinced that was quite the case here. And I think one of the things that's really important to keep in mind is we can never think about this as a project, because downtown revitalization is not a project and it's never finished. A lot of people think this transformation's just happened in the last 3 to 5 years, and that's a mistake. That is not knowing the complete story. And there's just been this resolute commitment to just implementing one aspect of the plan year after year after year after year. And it's slow, but people who aren't here all the time, it looks instantaneous. But I would argue downtown Lake City's revitalization is at least a 10 to 15 year overnight success story.
Tonight is about the artists. If you're an artist in ArtFields, will you please stand up and raise your hand? Let's give them a hand.
I'm happy to announce the grand prize winner of $50,000, ArtFields 2019, is Forrest Lawson of Winter Park, Florida, 6/12/2016 on view at the Rob.
y'all gonna take those things to the teller.
Sorry.
No, it just always locks when you close it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm still in shock. This is very bewildered
Still
right now.
nauseous?
Yeah, very. Yeah.
Need some ginger ale?
Yeah.
We
No,
do
I
have
got some water. No, I'm okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
He's moving to my hometown.
Can I wear your cake?
Yeah.
Ah,
You want
nice.
He did. And over there.
ArtFields is growing. More people know about ArtFields now than they did last year. I'm collecting artwork for ArtFields Junior now. I've gotten like maybe 8 pieces from like 2nd graders and 5th graders that are participating in ArtFields. Their parents are excited about their child being accepted into ArtFields. Growth is that kind of thing. It's almost like you can't see paint dry. You don't see your hair growing, you don't see your fingernails growing, you just look down one day and be like, wow, my nails are long, or my hair's gotten long, or the paint is finally dry. But you don't see the process. Sometimes it's not a microwave thing. And a fire started by a little piece of kindling will go a whole lot farther than pouring gas on it. So ArtFields has been started by a little piece of kindling. And you can't put that kind of fire out.
The same reason artists from anywhere are important, because they have something to say, and they have something to say from a perspective that is unique and different than other parts of the country or the world. We haven't been looked at as visual art culture in the South. That's changing now. We were performing arts people, and if you think about it, it makes sense. In the South we were rural, we would not have had the exposure or the money to pay for materials and supplies that would have been required for traditional visual art production. We were very artistic. I think the culture of America is Southern, but we were musically and performance artistically creative. And that's because to sing, you had an instrument with your voice, and you could pick up a spoon and a can and make music. The Southern artist is just morphed from more singing and dancing into the visual arts, and they have as much to say about that as they did when we were singing and dancing.
When you look at ArtFields today and what it means to the community, you have maybe 3 different segments of the community I would divide it into. You have one segment that says, yes, hooray, this is where we are. You have another segment that says, I'm just going to watch, wait, and see what's going to happen. And then you still have a small segment that says, that's not really for us. You have some folk in town that still feel that that's downtown. I'm not really a part of that. But historically, everybody's a part of Lake City. We have our shared histories, just like many other small towns do. But over the years, what we have done is we have come together and we've worked hard to mesh the community together. When everybody is holding on together, it's hard to pull a community apart. And what I love about our community so much is that we are very resilient.
It does. Art touches a lot of people. I have never had a piece of art to touch me, but I don't know. But art does change a lot of people. We had that whole controversial thing going on last year. Woo, and everybody was like, there's gonna be rioting in Lake City. People are, we're a community. We're not like that here. And as long as we stay true, we won't ever be like that. We won't ever have any craziness like that. I think Lake City is gonna end up being great if it keeps right on. If we can keep people steady coming and steady wanting to move here. We got a bunch of people moving here from, where did they say they were from? It'll get back there. Because for a while there, Lake City was going downhill, but now it's coming back up.
If people only attribute it to Darla Moore's influence, I think that's only half the story. But I think it's the fact that everybody's involved. And I think now you've got this body of individuals, whether it's property owners or merchants, who also believe in the vision. And I think people at this point, because of the infusion of the arts, because of now the infusion of higher education. It's now this kind of robust mix of all of these things that are going to sustain the local economy. It's not just one thing. This is not a one-trick pony anymore. It's not just ArtFields. It's not just fill in the blank. It's all of those things together. And I think it's just proven the point that that's the only way communities are going to survive going forward. They can't rely and put all their eggs in just one basket. It's got to be diverse. And so that's why I think it's going to work, is because it's no longer just Miss Moore, nor is it just one thing or one asset. It's all of those things.
I've found that people will add credibility to something by saying, oh, I got it in New York, or oh, I got it in this big city. And there's value to what we have right here. There was a woman who participated several years ago, and she came up to me towards the end of ArtFields. She had been here for several of the 9 days. She said, I had all but given up on the South. The South does not care about art. The South does not value art. And she said that ArtFields made her realize that the artists are here, the work is here, the talent and the quality of the artwork, it's here. But it's up to us to make sure that there's a platform for it. And so she left with ideas of how to bring a little bit of what we're doing in Lake City to her town. If that's the example we can set, if that's the model we can provide, not just to artists, but to people who have the power to change their communities, that's it. That's a win.
ArtFields is bigger than all of us, because if it was based on or stopped by what I've experienced through the changes over the years, it wouldn't be going on, and it's still going. And so I would have to say that ArtFields is probably bigger than all of us, and there's a bigger meaning. And I just look forward to see what that change is going to be in the near future, because I do believe it's going to be something powerful, and it is going to be something very impactful for those who are participating in it, observing it, taking part in it, or just coming out to some of the events. I just think it's a lot that it can do for this small town, and it has. When I look back over the years and all the trials and tribulations that we faced as a team and we faced as an ever-changing organization, it continued to move forward. I think it could be a model that can be used in a lot of small towns to impact their community.
I can't think of a better logo to represent spreading something. I mean, we got dandelions at my house now, just dandelions everywhere, and they just spread and they spread, and it's a beautiful little plant, but it's spread, and the pods float away like little parachutes everywhere, and they land. But if you put that pod, if you take that dandelion pod and you fill it up with love, and love will grow. It'll grow, it'll spread from one community to the next. It might even spread across states. It doesn't have to take place in a big city. I mean, things don't have to be born in New York or places where there are a whole bunch of people. It could start just from one little pod. And Lake City represents the dandelion, and it sends out pods.
I think ArtFields is a testament of what can be done when you have the confidence to do something differently. That, our past had been agricultural, but we were brave enough to take on a new identity.
It's all been done in the context of who we are and who the people are here. Not to try to cling to a past that no longer exists, but to have the vision and the creativity to reinvent itself with a view of the past and who they are. And I think that's what continues to make it so special. It is an authentic Southern town that is living and part of the 21st century.
If I look at common denominators to the towns that have implemented well and succeeded, there's always a community champion. But I think there are dozens of community champions in Lake City. Obviously we look to the people with things behind before or after their name, like Mayor Loveth, and we think of the Marion Fowlers. But You know, I think of Willard, you know, over in Willard's Barbershop on Saws, and what he's done in putting kids through college and running this business. You know, I think about the volunteers that are at ArtFields, and when I find out their stories, it's like they're just amazing. And so it's just all of these people who care about this place. There's just something that's magical that people are starting to figure out, that this place is different. And I think it's because people generally have fallen back in love with their place. And there's not a monetary value you can put on that. Art has played a much more important role than just beautification. I think a lot of people are intimidated by art, oftentimes because it's only ever purveyed or displayed in these really nice highbrow museums. And if you don't kind of grow up in that culture, that kind of feels like a whole world that doesn't belong to you. And even though you're permitted, you might not be invited. In Lake City, you're invited.